In a week that was more macro than models, Google brings us Nano Banana 2. Welcome back to the AI Daily Brief Headlines Edition, all the daily AI news you need in around 5 minutes. Man, some weeks are all about just a crushing stream of new products and new models, and others are about the big picture debates and discussions, and this was definitely the latter. However, providing a little bit of sweet new capability relief is Google with their release of Nano Banana 2. Now, each iteration of Nano Banana has been a huge leap forward. The original release last October was the first time users were able to reliably edit an image with natural language prompts. This was a huge deal and even inspired me to think that we should probably have a different way to benchmark things based on how many new capabilities they unlock rather than by traditional benchmarks. It turns out that being able to use natural language to edit certain parts of an image just unlocked a huge amount of use cases that were fairly difficult before. Still, maybe even bigger was the release of Nano Banana Pro in November, which combined image generation with reasoning to produce, among other things, the capability for really high-quality infographics and visual explanations. It turns out that increased ability to handle text, plus the ability to reason over an image generation, was a really potent combination. It wasn't just that you could give it a set of words and it would accurately represent them now. It was that you could drop, for example, a transcript of my episode in, and it would spit back out a visual infographic representation of it that almost always did a pretty good job. Now, some of the problems with Nano Banana Pro was that it was kind of slow and a little expensive. Google did offer a generous free trial, but once that expired, free users were reverted back to the original Nano Banana, which was starting to show its age. This week's release of Nano Banana 2 seeks to rectify the situation. Writes Google, now you can get the advanced world knowledge, quality, and reasoning you love in Nano Banana Pro at lightning-fast speed. Now, formally, this model is Gemini 3.1 FlashImage, meaning it takes the same image generation layer as Nano Banana Pro and applies it to a more streamlined base model. Basically, it has all the cost and speed advantages of Google's Flash models applied to image generation. The model inherits the knowledge base of Flash and shares its ability to draw on web search as necessary. It also retains Nano Banana Pro's ability to generate legible text and its hallmark infographic style. The new model has many of the professional-grade features from Nano Banana Pro, like strong instruction following and the ability to integrate up to 5 characters and 14 objects from source images. It also supports outputs up to 4K, making it viable for certain types of professional use cases. The big change is really the cost and the speed. Nano Banana 2 is around half the cost of Nano Banana Pro and delivers outputs in seconds. 2 is now the default image generation model across all subscription tiers, although Pro and Ultra subscribers will retain the ability to tap into Nano Banana Pro for specialized tasks. VentureBeat framed the release as part of a land grab for production-scale image generation. They noted that Qwen Image 2.0, released earlier this month, is arguably state-of-the-art at around half the price of Nano Banana 2, while also being small enough to host on local devices. Reflecting the conversation that's been happening all year that we are no longer comparing just pure capability but also efficiency, VentureBeat writes, Nano Banana 2 doesn't represent a generational leap in image generation quality. What it represents is the maturation of AI image generation from a creative novelty into a production-ready infrastructure component. Google, they say, is making a calculated bet. The next wave of enterprise AI image adoption will be driven not by the models that produce the most beautiful images, but by the ones that produce good enough images fast enough and cheaply enough to deploy at scale. I think that's true, but I think you also see Google increasingly trying to flex the integration of all their systems to a whole that's greater than the sum of the parts. For example, in his tweet about the model, CEO Sundar Pichai shared a demo that they called Window Seat. He writes that it uses Nano Banana 2's world understanding to generate more accurate views from any window in the world, even pulling live local weather info. That's a type of demo that, of course, goes way beyond just the ability to produce a cool image, and actually integrates these systems for something that's more powerful. Ethan Malik writes, I had some early access to Nano Banana 2. It isn't perfect, but it is the first model to handle really complex images and diagrams with some consistency. Justine Moore from A16Z found that it was leveled up for a bunch of use cases, including infographics, ads, action shots, and cartoons. On infographics, Justine found both improved text handling as well as more accurate information. She also found improvements for product photography, action shots, and much more. I haven't had a chance to play around with it much yet, but I'm excited to do so. Next up, a little report from Anthropic. We're going to cover the latest in their back and forth with the Pentagon on tomorrow's makeup show, but today we're looking at the information report that daily signups for Claude have tripled since November. The total number of paid subscribers has more than doubled since October, while free users are up by 60% over the past month. The information wrote that while Anthropic declined to share specifics, they said that growing usage of Claude Code and Claude Cowork were driving the surge. One of the really fascinating phenomenon right now is that technical complexity of products does not seem to be as big of a barrier when it comes to adoption as has previously been the norm for technology products. There is at least some evidence, and I think this is a good example of that when it comes to AI, particularly work AI, people are willing to go the extra mile if they really can get benefit out of it. I have to say the fact that 5,000 people have signed up to learn how to use OpenClaw on our ClawCamp program strikes me as a case in point on that as well. One other story from earlier in the week when I was traveling, on Monday, IBM became the latest company to sell off due to Anthropic-related headlines. The company's stock lost 13% on the day, their largest single-day drawdown since March 2020. This time, the trigger wasn't even a new feature from Anthropic, but merely a blog post about how Claude can be used to modernize legacy codebases. The post discussed the use of AI to rewrite COBOL systems, one of the most notorious problems in computer science. COBOL was the dominant programming language back in the 1970s and still, believe it or not, powers huge amounts of banking infrastructure and other critical systems. However, the developers who actually understand the programming language are quite literally a dying breed. There are barely enough COBOL experts left to maintain these systems, let alone overhaul and rewrite them in modern language. Wrote Anthropic, modernizing a COBOL system once required armies of consultants spending years mapping workflows. This resulted in large timelines and high costs that few were willing to take on. AI changes this. Tools like Claude Code can automate the exploration and analysis phases that consume most of the effort in COBOL modernization. Now, of all the crashes that Anthropic has triggered over the past month, to some this was one of the more puzzling. IBM, of course, does far more than just maintain COBOL, and this wasn't even a new feature announced by Anthropic. They first showed off a COBOL modernization demo 3 months ago, and AI has been able to assist in this process for several generations. In fact, last June, the Wall Street Journal profiled Morgan Stanley's COBOL modernization efforts. Morgan Stanley used a combination of internal tools and OpenAI's models and boasted that they had saved 280,000 developer hours while reviewing 9 million lines of code. This is a very clear example, then, of the fact that market participants aren't reacting just to new developments in AI. Charitably, they are catching up on more than a year of AI advancements and seriously thinking through the implications for the first time. Less charitably, of course, they might just be reflexively selling anything mentioned in a blog post from Anthropic. Moving over to the chip battle, Meta has reined in the scope of their custom silicon program after hitting roadblocks in design. The information reports that Meta has scrapped development plans for their most advanced AI chip. After struggling with key elements of the chip's design, efforts will be refocused on a less complicated version of the custom silicon. In a statement to the press, a Meta spokesperson said, "We remain committed to investing in a diverse silicon portfolio to meet our needs, which includes advancing our Meta Inference and Training Accelerator portfolio, and we'll have more to share this year." Meta also recently signed massive chip buying deals with both NVIDIA and AMD. In addition, the information broke news on Thursday that Meta had signed a multi-billion-dollar deal with Google to rent their TPUs as a training cluster. The two companies had previously explored an outright purchase of TPUs, but sources didn't elaborate on the status of that deal. Honestly, what it feels like to me as we get more and more stories like this is that companies' calculus around the cost of paying the NVIDIA tax has changed, and that custom silicon projects just aren't as valuable as getting GPUs on the racks at any cost. Lastly today, Microsoft has joined the crowd in OpenClawification. They've announced a new product called Copilot Tasks, which is designed for offloading mundane tasks. The agent is equipped with its own virtual computer and browser, which Microsoft says will allow it to handle tasks like scheduling appointments and generating study plans. The announcement leaned heavily on the idea that this is an agent designed for everyone, rather than just developers and enterprises. Microsoft described it as a to-do list that does itself, adding, "You describe what you need in natural language, Copilot plans and goes to work, you adjust or refine as needed." Microsoft said the agent will check for permission before taking meaningful actions, and is initially releasing the product as a limited research preview to a small group of testers. But if you wanted any clearer sign that everyone is getting clawified, look no further than this. For now, however, that is going to do it for today's headlines. Next up, the main episode.